All right, so we got this thing going. Today, we are officially doing our first episode of League Name TBD Episode 1. Getting a couple messages from our league mates right now, Adam and such, asking if we've gotten things started. Yes, Adam, we have started.
Live.
Yep, I will at our channel right now here. We are live at this link. So we'll give it a minute here. Sounds like a few people want to get watching before we start this up. So we don't want to get too deep into anything before anything fun happens.
Adam just wants to show up so he can hear us tell him how great his team is finally.
Oh yeah, but he's still not going to make playoffs, sadly.
Both of those things are factually correct.
Yes, that's what I thought as well. I think. Okay, so yeah, it looks like we have 2 viewers. I don't know if that's Adam and like Monty or what, or if that's you two. I have no idea. Anyways, let's get started here. So week 10 in the books. We kind of know how that went down. We're going to do a quick look back. We're going to check out some top performers, and a few other things that'll take place in our league as well. A big trade that took place today between Jake and myself. So we'll go over that trade, get Jake's thoughts, my thoughts, and then see what Jason has to say about it. So it'll be good.
Rip it to shreds, Jason. Rip it to shreds.
I was ready to when I saw the trade come through this afternoon. I've processed a little bit over the last couple hours, but we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
All right, so just a quick look back. Don't want to take too much time on week 10. We had myself versus Elijah. I scored 134.7 points. He got 84.3. Couple highlights here. DJ finally broke out of his shell, scored 33.8 points that week. He had 21 rushes for 98 yards and a touchdown, and 7 receptions for 85 yards and a touchdown. Zeke's line finally learned how to block. 19 rushes for 151 yards and a touchdown. He also had 6 receptions for 36 yards and a touchdown as well. Lowlights of that matchup: James White had a season low of 5.1 points. He had 1 rush for -5 yards, 5 receptions for 31 yards. With Sony back, White seems to be an afterthought in the Patriots offense, which I have Sony now, so that's awesome.
Brady is also seems to be an afterthought in the Patriots offense right now as well. So
Tom Brady, I think, is finally meeting Father Time.
It looks like that might be coming up soon.
Yep. Jude and Jason.
Time.
Yeah. Jude and Jason had a big matchup. Jude scored 136.6 points. Jason got 164.4, second straight week of breaking that 160 mark. CMC had a season high of 34.3 points, 14 rushes, 77 yards, and a touchdown. He had 5 receptions for 61 yards and 2 receiving touchdowns. That's his second straight week of having 30-plus points. And then Tyreek Hill had his third week on the season with 2 or more touchdowns. Lowlights: Mahomes it was a second total week of not breaking 300 yards. Rodgers had a season low of 199 passing yards. Previous low of the season was 259, which was last week. So Rodgers seems to be slowing down just a little bit as well for Jason, but it's Rodgers, so you can't be too scared.
Mm-hmm.
Zach and Phil had a nice matchup. Zach lost 71.9 to 117.6. Highlights: Kerryon had a season high of 21.9 points, 14 rushes, 51 yards, and a touchdown. Plus, he had 6 receptions on 38 yards and a touchdown. And then McCoy had a season high of 24.3 points for Phil, 26 rushes, 113 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then lowlights for that: everyone not named Kerryon Johnson on Zach's team was just a pooper. Max and Jake. Jake beat Max this week. 135.1 was Max, 155.5 for Jake. Highlights: Chubb had a season high of 34.4 points, 20 rushes, 176 yards, and a touchdown. Holy crap. And 3 receptions for 33 yards and a touchdown. Ertz also had a season high of 33.5 points, 14 receptions, 145 yards, 2 touchdowns. A-Rob had a season high of 28.3 points, 6 receptions, 133 yards, and 2 touchdowns. And then Jones had a season high of 30.7 points. Which Jones is this?
Aaron Jones.
Aaron Jones, thank you. 15 rushes, 145 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So, yeah, when you have 3 guys on your team post season high points, you better not lose. Otherwise, it's going to be a sad day. Low lights. So Sony Michel only got 3.1 points on 31 yards. Marlon Mack had 6.8 points, 12 rushes, 29 yards. And Cody Parkey ended up with -2 points with 4 dongs on the uprights.
Which is, I think that's very impressive to be able to do that.
I feel like that should be bonus points, really.
I think so too. Yeah, hitting the uprights like hitting a 50-yard field goal.
I guarantee if you told him to do that 4 times, though, he couldn't.
Not a chance.
This right there, that 2 for 4 on extra points, 0 for 2 field goals, is why kickers are stupid and they should just be eliminated from fantasy football altogether.
There we go.
I'm not going to disagree with you whatsoever on that.
Jared,
yeah, right. Jared and Monty went off this week. Or Jared went off, Monty not so much. 136.8 to 82.4. So Monty lost that week. Ebron had a season high of 26.2 points. He had 3 receptions for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns. Lowlights, Fitzmagic scored 12.6 points, only because he threw 406 yards and got himself that 7-point bonus. And then Cooper Kupp tore his ACL and is done for the year.
Can we talk about the fact that Monty, I think almost every time that he had an opportunity or option in setting his lineup to choose between one player or the other, he picked the wrong person in each one of those times. I feel bad for the guy, but I think he had a chance of beating Jared if he would have picked right this week. But every single opportunity he had, a quarterback, it was a running back, a receiver, everywhere he picked, he made the wrong choice up and down the lineup. It was, kind of a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, looking at his box score real quick and his benches, I mean, his bench has scored 116 points, which, I mean, he's got 2 quarterbacks in that, so you can't really count that completely. But, yeah, I mean, 22 points out of Corey Davis, who we talked about last week, who I would have traded for almost anyone. You guys would have kept him.
Another scenario where Ben was wrong.
Yeah.
Hey, 1 week doesn't make you wrong. It just makes you look stupid. So I'm okay with that.
Yeah, but we got it on video, so that works better.
That's true. And Derrick Henry actually had a surprising outcome, but I think it was basically touchdown dependent. 2 touchdowns, 58 yards, nothing major drastic there for Monty. But anything of last week that surprised you guys, or anything that I don't know. I mean, I know there was a few matchups where I was wrong. I thought some guys would win, some guys would lose, but I don't know. I think this week, the lookout for playoffs is definitely a little bit different, and
I think that's the thing that I noticed the most from everything that came through this week is everything at the bottom of the league. Just everything got tighter because everyone who was below that kind of 8th seed place, almost all those guys won, and all the people who were above lost. So you've got now these 5-5 teams, 4-6, 3-7 that are all within, just basically a game of making playoffs. And it keeps things interesting because I think if the right people would have won and lost this week, it would have made the rest of the season a lot less intriguing and would have taken away some of that drama. But with Adam winning, with Jared winning, with Alex losing, and it just puts people, I think, in a position to make these last couple of weeks matter, which is going to be fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing that I took out of it was you have, 3 teams score above 150, right? Jason's team looks solid top to bottom. I mean, when you're George Kittle is basically your lowest scoring skill position at 9 catches for 83 yards out of your tight end, that's pretty good. Then you've got Adam and myself, who weren't so far off of the pace, but had some people throw up some absolute duds. We had some amazing performances out of some players. I feel like those amazing performances are going to come and go. So if we get hot at the right time, if Adam gets in, or if I get hot at the right time, it could certainly make some noise. But I mean, if I had to put my money on it right now, I mean, your roster is solid top to bottom. It's looking good. Ben's got a little bit better today, but I'm sure we'll talk about that later.
Oh yeah, we'll cover it.
And the other thing that I know is just an NFL point here is that I believe the strategy to unseat the New England Patriots is just hire former coaches or players because they can't beat them. They are 0 for 2. Patricia and the Lions, who are a dumpster fire, beat them. And Tennessee has looked anything but spectacular, and they made the Patriots look like an average team at best.
Yep. Can't argue that whatsoever. Thankfully, I only have standard channels using one of those antennas, so I don't even get, major, ESPN or anything like that. But I wasn't even able to watch the Patriots, thankfully. I think I would have been depressed the whole time. Thankfully, I got to watch DJ have a great game against Kansas City. I don't care which team wins or loses in that, but
I'll tell you
DJ,
what, Mike McCoy is the worst offensive coordinator in the NFL. I'm glad he's not employed anymore. Oh.
Yeah. I've had offers for DJ from many people. I've tried offering DJ, but he's kind of like that, old dog that you have that everyone's like, hey, you need to put that dog down and you need to get rid of it. But you're just so emotionally attached that you're like, I'm going to hold on. So I don't know.
When that dog is like 25 years old as an NFL running
26
back.
or 20. Yeah. But I love DJ. There's just that emotional attachment of, being stupid lucky at the draft, and I don't get a player like that. So, but
still pissed that I turned down your offer of Drew Brees for David Johnson 3 years ago when the league started. It's like my biggest regret.
Oh, yeah. All right, top performers this week. Adam with Big Ben, 42.2 points. Jake had Nick Chubb in the running back position with 34.4 points. Tyreek Hill, everyone knows Jude has him, 29.2 points. Jake again in the tight end position, 33.5. And then Jake again in the defensive position along with Max, the Packers and Steelers with 20 points. And then Phil rounding out with the kicker with a whole 17 points from Lutz. So a lot of points this week. And like Jake was talking about, I mean, we had a couple teams at 130 plus points, one team at, 150, another team, Jason, at, 160. And I don't know, you got to think that these big numbers for all these teams, is it sustainable, or is it, are we going to see some leveling off here closer towards colder weather games and things like that? So.
You have to own cold weather players to be affected by cold weather games, in the most part, at least more often than not. But
yeah,
I feel like this year fantasy points are just fast and furious. I mean, top to bottom. I mean, this league and other leagues, it's just, I feel like average scoring is up across the board. As the league moves to more of a passing league, I feel like we're just going to continue to notice scores increasing.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of the big things as well is just kind of an elite talent discrepancy as well. You look at the top few scoring teams, Jason, Jake, and Adam this last week all getting 155 plus. You've got elite players on those teams. You have players who are going to put up major points where, I mean, you know, you look at Zach's team and Elijah's team and Alex's team all scoring under 85 points this week. You know, they don't have the health of those players, or they don't even have the elite player status whatsoever. If you look at Alex's team, so I mean, if the elite talent was spread more amongst, you know, the bottom players, I think we would see average scoring decrease. But because it's so heavily weighted amongst very few set of teams, there's definitely going to be those outliers.
Maybe you should give those bottom teams from elite talent then, Ben.
I just did.
Oh, I thought I was included in that elite talent thing a minute ago. Oops, sorry.
Oh, you are, but I guess I took elite talent from you more than gave you talent. So
yeah.
In case you're wondering, this is what is it? Hellcat Molly or Firecat Molly that Adam got me, the whiskey, along with Arnold Palmer. So it's really good.
Out of a straw, huh, Ben?
Yeah, classy.
Impressive.
I can get my pinky up.
Oh, there it is. Perfect.
Mm-hmm. All right. So one other thing that I put on here, notable waiver guys. Let's be honest, there's really not a whole lot, at least from what I was looking at, as far as waiver players that are must-go gets in this league. Is Reynolds even? Is he on someone's roster already from LA or?
No, he's on the waiver wire.
Okay. So yeah, I mean Reynolds, he's a waiver wire guy that, you know, somebody like Monty should try to go and get after losing Cooper Kupp. You know,
I'll be shocked if Josh Reynolds turns into anything. Like Cooper Kupp, I think was good in that offense because he was a skilled player. He was good in that slot role. With everything they've got between Gurley and Woods and Cooks, I don't see them giving anywhere near that level of work that they were giving Reynolds. Like I think he'll be that like boom or bust flex play. Like you might get lucky with a touchdown, but I don't think he's worth someone trying to pick him up to use him this year. Maybe as a value you're trying to gain some down the road, but I think it's gonna be tough to count on him for anything consistent.
Yeah. I think I saw earlier today that the Rams have been in three wide receiver sets like 98% of the time or something silly like that. But part of the reason that is Cooper Kupp is a big slot receiver and a heck of a blocker. And I don't see Josh Reynolds being on the field that much. I think that it's going to be more of the tight end filling the role rather than Reynolds, personally.
So is Tyler Higbee someone you would say is a notable waiver guy that somebody should go and get? I mean,
or Gerald Everett. I mean,
Gerald Everett is the one.
Yeah. Oh, is he? Okay. Then he
but
must
no,
be.
Even not him.
Yeah.
Everett must be on
Gurley more.
Yeah, there's just the work that was Cooper Kupp's isn't going to get funneled to one person. Like likely it's going to get split between Reynolds and Everett and Higbee. They're each going to get one or two catches, and then everything that's left are going to go to their big three guys. And so I don't think there's going to be anything worthwhile from those spots. I do think we have a couple interesting streaming defense options this week between the Cardinals, who are playing Oakland, who have basically, I mean, if your defense is playing Oakland, that seems like a guaranteed like 15 points. And then the Bengals taking on Baltimore, who, for what it looks like this is going to be Lamar Jackson's first start in the NFL. So he's either going to come out hot and is going to show off that athleticism and is going to have a great game, or what's more likely is going to get sacked about 6 times, probably lose a couple fumbles and a couple picks, and the Bengals are going to have a good day on defense. So I feel like there's a couple of interesting options to see who decides to go out, see if there's any of those teams that are kind of at the bottom of the league that are trying to squeeze into the playoffs, and see if they're going to spend big on some of those defenses to try and get some easy points this week.
Yeah. Well, if you look at the opponent ranks for these defenses that are sitting out there, I mean, you have the Raiders going up against Arizona, which is the 31st worst, offense Cardinals then going up against Oakland the 30th. Giants against Tampa Bay, which is apparently the 29th. So I mean, the matchups are there. If you're looking to stream a defense, there's a lot of green matchups this week.
Yeah, the Cardinals are really the only one that would be exciting to me. The Cincinnati Bengals defense, yeah, it's a rookie quarterback and his first start potentially, but they are just bad. I mean, I get that Lamar Jackson is a far cry from Drew Brees, but they could have hung 70 on him if they wanted last weekend. It was ugly.
Yeah. All right. Well, yeah, not a lot for waivers. Just that Cardinals defense is pretty much it. So we'll see how much they go for. Somebody's going to grab them. I'd be surprised if they didn't. I think there's a couple teams that need defenses this week because of bye games. But we'll move on from that. Let's talk about our trade, Jake. Let's talk about how it started and how we came to get this done.
Well, you incessantly posting that you're looking for a quarterback piqued my attention, as I have two top five quarterbacks, one of whom is near and dear to my heart, but is 39 years old.
Who started on my roster at the beginning?
Who started on Ben's roster earlier this year. He's having a heck of a year, but certainly was somebody that to me was a movable piece, especially with all of the draft capital that I've given up throughout the year to take my team from something that made me want to vomit to something that actually has won a few games. And then the other piece that really drove my decision making is I still feel like I need to get some victories between now and the playoffs to try to, get my seeding right. I don't want to limp in and have to face Jason's juggernaut week 1 of the playoffs. And starting Jamal Williams gave me acid reflux like you would not believe. So I didn't really need to do that. So offering Ben Drew Brees essentially, and Sony Michel being included. He's looked very good while on the field. He's got a pretty well documented problem with his knee. It's not something that I'm overly concerned about long term, based on the procedures that he's had. Doing a little bit of reading on those, but when you've got a rookie back who's already had a couple of injuries that have cost him some time, you look back to college, you look at all those pre-draft, scares that he's bone on bone like Jay Ajayi. There's a little bit of risk there. He's obviously a heck of a player when he's on the field. You can see that every time he touches the ball. Tevin Coleman represents volume really at this point. He's not likely to be an Atlanta Falcon next year, so that is maybe a good thing and maybe an absolutely terrible thing. That's a high-flying offense that scores a lot of points. He could certainly do a lot worse than being on that offense, even in timeshare. So it's kind of the Coleman thing. I've never really been that high on him, but he does represent volume. He has been getting enough work to get it done. Even last week scoring 7.8 or whatever it was is better than both the running backs better than the running backs, 2 of the 3 running backs, that I started. So I would have taken that in a heartbeat. So recouping a first round pick, even if it ends up being late first round, and then getting a running back that, first of all, I can start this week, and second of all, I'm a little bit more confident in, injury wise, at least through this year, and then we'll see how it goes next year.
Yeah. From my side of the trade, I mean, there was a lot of things that went into it, to be honest. First and foremost, Brady is playing terrible. He's not, 12 points a week isn't going to win you a championship. He is not the quarterback I want to go into playoffs with. Looking at Drew Brees' schedule ahead, he's going to face the 32nd worst defense, the 28th worst defense, and the 27th worst defense against quarterbacks. So I'm looking at that, licking my chops, going, Brees is going to have a heyday. He's going to throw the ball. There's no reason why he shouldn't get a minimum of 2, if not 3 or 4 touchdowns each week against those teams. Another aspect, just like Jake said, he's starting Jamal Williams. And with Jake going up against Monty this week, I did not like that whatsoever. I figured, you know what, if I can get Drew Brees and then a rookie running back and give something to make one of my first round picks a little bit more valuable, I'll do that. So it's kind of like chopping off the arm at the elbow to save the rest of the body or whatever, kind of a situation where I'm okay giving up a little bit to make something stronger. My quarterback situation is stronger. My running back situation, if Sony Michel is going to be 100%, that's going to be stronger. If Sony Michel falls to the wayside, I've got a couple other options as well. AJ Green, yeah, he's injured, but he's going to be back by the time playoffs roll around, hopefully. Cordell Patterson looked really good as a running back as well, and now ESPN has him slotted as both a wide receiver and a running back, so he's got that versatility. But anywho, I was okay giving up first-round pick and Coleman. Hurt to give up Coleman just because I gave away Alex's pick to get him. One of those picks that could potentially be a lottery 101, and took a while to give it up, but after thinking about it and processing it and going back and forth with Jake on how much fab we are gonna do over this deal, we finally agreed to $5, and I gave him a moral victory. So I think we both
just wouldn't let it go.
No. I told him. I said, I'll give you $1 and let's get this thing done. He's like, I was thinking more like 10, and then I just kind of sat in silence. And he goes, 5 minutes a deal, and I said 3. Then he cursed me. So then he cursed at me.
Absolutely terrible.
And then I told Jake, I'm like, say 4 and just get it over with. And then I offered 15 actually if I got to keep Monty's second. But then Jake said, 5 and it's a deal. I need a moral victory. I said, fine, let's do it. So gave him the $5.
Jeez, I would have said yes at 10 when he said that.
That's what I said.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, but I know there was a lot of sticker shock from the league right away when they saw it. You in particular needing to explain that tonight at the podcast. Adam saying the same thing, and a bunch of other people like, what? And Max didn't even know that we had a podcast. So, have you guys started? Sorry, go ahead.
No, I know when I first saw that, I was like, what kind of voodoo magic did Ben throw towards Jake to get him to say yes to this deal? And I think the more that I thought about it, I can see I see it being a little more even than I thought when I first saw it. I think it definitely helps Ben a lot in the short run, mostly just to solidify that QB position, especially when the way the scoring works, especially with it being lower points for yardage, where we get 1 point for every 50 quarterback yards and 6 points for touchdowns. It's really a touchdown heavy scoring for quarterbacks. And so with Ben getting Brees, that I think that really solidifies his quarterbacking position, where he's got no questions, I don't think, the rest of the year. And then I think the sticker shock is with Sony Michel, right? Because at least for me, when we came into the rookie draft by August, he was right there at like 102, 103 for me. Like he was right up there in that Kerryon Johnson, Darius Geis, like that kind of whole group there we're right there at the top. And so I think that, yeah, that he has that potential to be that top tier, top 10 running back. And at the same time, those injury concerns are just enough to put a little bit of fear into Michelle owners. I own him somewhere else, and I have that little bit of fear where you're always wondering, like, there's just this chance that, like, yep, one play and he's done for the rest of the year or more, and it always sit in the back of your head. And so I think Coleman is a little bit more of that long play where he'll be helpful this year, but there's that chance he gets that Jerick McKinnon jump where if McKinnon didn't get hurt this year, like, he was in line for that top, at least for sure 15, if not top 12, top 10 spot in terms of volume and touches, where Coleman could end up in a role like that. So I think the deal probably helps Ben the most in the short term, but I think picking up that extra first. And the thing with first in this league is we've had a lot of people get upset. When you get 8 people in the playoffs, there's a chance that someone goes off early, and that pick that we think is a 110, 112, that late first, that thing can turn into 105 real easy. And so it doesn't really hurt Ben to give it up because he still has 3 of them left, but it's easy for those picks to turn into something much better than what they are. So I think Ben solidified what he needed to for this year, and I think Jake didn't really hurt himself in what he gave up. He still basically is solid, being able to slot Ryan and Coleman into those slots, and I think he's gained that potential and upside for next year and beyond. So I think after you let the sticker shock wear off, I think it turned out to, I think it's a pretty fair deal.
Yeah, and my play isn't for this year. There's 4 or 5 teams on paper that should dismantle me in the playoffs. Can I upset 1 or 2 of them? Sure. Am I going to ride this team to the league championship? Probably not. So I had to play a little bit for next year. And with as awesome as Jude's team has performed all year, you're talking about that upset, and Kansas City is phenomenal. But if you can say that the upset the only thing that has to happen for that upset to happen is one team has to underperform 1 week, and that's it. That's all. If Kansas City comes out and is sluggish 1 week between 14 and 16, he's done. Is it going to happen? Probably not. Again, I've made the trade with expecting it to be probably in the 110 range. But yeah, all it has to happen is, Mahomes tweaks a knee, game over. So, maybe it turns into a better pick. I think the hardest part for me, I think Michelle is really good. I had him rated at 4 or 5 on the rookie class this year. I was probably one of, 10 people in the world that had, I had Nick Chubb. I stopped just short of putting him ahead of Saquon Barkley, but I had him right there. Right there. If you watch college football before his knee injury, dude was phenomenal. And you know what? There was times last year in college that you could see a little bit of that guy coming back, and you've seen it a couple of plays this year. That guy is still in there. And that 92-yard run, you didn't see that at Georgia after his knee injury. He didn't have the gas anymore, but he's getting it back. And I think, and I've told Adam this, I've told Ben this, and as people are trying to trade for him, I truly do believe, and I could be wrong, but I truly do believe that Nick Chubb can have every bit as good of a career as Saquon Barkley. So I still feel like I have the piece from that rookie draft that I really like. So I don't know. It seemed like yes, Ben gets the hands down the win for the rest of this year, but that wasn't my play.
If I'm curious, Jake, if Chubb hadn't had that big 34-point week where he goes off for the huge run and just has a heyday there for the Browns, if he has a mediocre day or an average day and he puts up 60 yards, doesn't score a touchdown, would you have still made that deal with Ben and moved Michelle? or would you have held back?
You know, I certainly would have had to think a little bit more, but it wasn't just that 92-yard run. You know, if you look at yards from, I think I just read this today. If you look at yards from scrimmage since Carlos Hyde got traded, and it's including this week when he had 176 yards, but I think Chubb is like first or second. Like I think he's actually ahead of Gurley in that time. And Gurley's had a few down weeks. In terms of yardage, he's still scored ridiculous number of touchdowns, of course, but in terms of scrimmage yards, Chubb has been really solid. He's been quiet about it, but he's been pretty solid since they moved the broken down Carlos Hyde.
Yeah, since they've shipped him, he's done pretty well. But let's go ahead and move on to looking to this week's matchups. We've gone over our trade long enough. Like Jason said, sticker shock with Sony Michel, but once you actually take a look at it, it's pretty fair. Anywho, this one's going to be pretty quick. We got me versus Alex this week. Originally, I was planning on not having a quarterback because I didn't want to drop anybody and pick one up. Thankfully, I've traded for one, so now I have one. I'm not going to add a kicker, though, because I like the kicker I have, and I'm not going to drop anyone to have a second kicker. I should still beat Alex pretty handedly.
You should just all drop kickers immediately.
If we did, Zach would have a hissy fit, and he would probably leave the league over.
Actually, Zach's with Zach's team, he can keep his kicker.
He can keep it.
The rest of us can drop ours. He can keep his kicker. I think we'll all be okay.
Yeah, we'll give Zach not a super flex, but a flex that involves a kicker. He can keep it. There you go. But yeah, I should move to 8-3. Alex should drop to 4-7. Other matchup we have is Max versus Adam. I know in my power rankings, I gave it to Max this week just because I don't remember why, to be honest, but I think Max moves to 6-5, and Adam drops to 2-9.
Yeah, I think this is going to be another close one. I agree. I think Max takes it. Pittsburgh's on the road, which means that there's a pretty decent chance Ben Roethlisberger is going to have a bad week. So that's you can't count on much when it comes to predictability and stats in football, but you can count on Ben Roethlisberger sucking on the road. So I think that Adam's nail is finally going to head in the coffin this week. I think Max probably takes it.
Well, what does Ben have, like 8 or 9 interceptions in his last 2 games against Jacksonville? Like he had 5, the one, and then in the playoff game he threw like 3 or 4 more, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's just Jacksonville's defense has been atrocious this year, but I feel like they have Ben's number.
Yeah, it's been pretty bad. But yeah, what's nice about Adam though, at least, I mean, Connor is sitting on concussion protocol, but I think if Connor is able to come and play this game, like you said, it's going to be such a close matchup. It was tough to call for me. I just think Max has more pieces that might be able to put up consistent numbers. But for Adam, at least, if he does lose, I mean, he can still play spoiler. Next week he's going up against Monty. The week after that, he's going up against Phil. I'm pretty sure Phil's locked in for playoffs, so there's nothing about Phil missing playoffs at all. However, what Adam can do is he can modify the seeding. If Phil loses the week, he could go up against a Jason or a Jude or myself week 1. And I think, the harder teams that we can get Phil to match up against early on, the better for the league, because if he loses, we know we have 2 more years left, or 1 more year left at least. So
I do not want to be the person that takes on Phil week 1 of the playoffs. You keep Gurley and Hopkins away from me. That's I'll let someone else take that bullet week 1.
Yeah.
I get to play him next week, sans Gurley. I'm super excited.
Well, if we look at projected playoff brackets as of today, Phil would be facing off against Jake. And then the week after, he would be going up against Jason or Alex. So, I mean, it's not an easy road, but if Jason loses to Alex week 1 of playoffs, Phil's in the championship if he beats Jake. So,
yeah, if I lose week 1 of the playoffs and Phil's taking on Alex, we should start setting dates for the draft next year.
Fair.
I don't know. I mean, he'd still have to go, between Jude, myself, and Max. So
yeah, that's I don't Phil with a coin flip in the championship. That still scares me. I have flashbacks from Gurley putting up like 150 points in the playoffs last year.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, that's crazy.
That's fair. All right, we got Jake versus Monty this week. Monty's sitting at 3-7. Jake is sitting at 6-4. Monty's got a 27% chance of making playoffs, according to Fantasy Pros. So it's going to be a tough match.
Does your vote change after our trade?
No, my vote still doesn't change. Did I say Monty wins?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yes, then it does change.
No, you voted against me the last 3 weeks, and I'm 3-0 in that time. So
okay,
you just stay off of this bandwagon. Yeah. I don't want any of your sympathy. Stay off.
If you look at my last sentence, it says it seems to work when I project Jake to lose. So here it is, and I said you're going to lose. So Monty's going to keep his playoff hopes alive. He's going to move to 4-7. Jake's going to fall to 6-5. That's my prediction. I'm sticking with it.
Good man. You dig your hole.
I will.
I think Jake's. I think with this trade, I think not having to start Jamal Williams, I think that gives Jake a real shot to put something up this week, put something up decent. Monty's team has just been so up and down this year. Fitzgerald is just such a coin flip with what's been going on down in Arizona, and OJ Howard has been up and down. Keenan Allen has been up and down this year. Corey Day, it's just a lot of Monty. I think is going to have to hit on a lot of those guys having big weeks to be able to come through and get this win. But he needs it, because if he doesn't get this, he needs a lot of other people to lose. He needs Alex to lose. He needs Jared to lose this week. If Adam wins this week, then he's tied with Monty. So it's just Monty needs to keep pace, or else he's going to be in a lot of trouble going forward.
I certainly would feel better about my odds if Chubb wasn't on a bye. But
yeah,
it's going to be tight. I think this is going to be one of the closer matchups this week. The rest of the matchups seem to be fairly straightforward. If you put any stock in the ESPN predictions, which I don't, they've got us at less than a point apart. And I feel like it could be all of that.
Yeah, I mean, you got to look at Fitzpatrick as well. Had a downer of a week last week, going up against the Giants this week. The Giants are ranked 6th for some reason against quarterbacks right now, but they're not that good. If you look at the matchups that they've had, I mean, they kept Matt Ryan to one touchdown, and that's pretty much the hardest quarterback they've faced that they've limited to one touchdown. Jacksonville, they had Bortles. Dallas, you had Prescott. Washington was Matt Ryan. San Francisco was whoever that guy is. So they can give up 2-3 touchdowns pretty easily. And if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Fitzpatrick throwing 400 yards, because that's just what he does.
As long as he throws all those touchdowns to Deshaun Jackson, I don't really care.
I mean, he could throw them to Mike Evans. That'd be great. As long as it's not OJ Howard, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
Receivers.
Yeah. Got it. But yeah, so it's going to be a close one. Jude and Zach are facing off. This one's going to be quick, just like mine and Alex's. Jude's going to move to 8-3. Zach's going to fall to 3-8. Yeah, Zach's going to miss playoffs. He doesn't care. He's got a 12% chance, but after this loss, he's going to move to 0, I think. Zach's got his own pick.
How good would it be if Zach finds a way to win here? The Kansas City comes through a bad week. And that would be great.
I'll be honest. like, even if Kansas City has a terrible week, Minnesota at Chicago, they're going to have a terrible week as well. There's just I think Chicago's defense, if Mac plays, is just as good as Minnesota's offense, especially if the banged up Diggs. If Diggs is not healthy enough to ward off double coverage, I think Thielen gets covered, and I think again Thielen has a week like he did 2 weeks ago. I don't think he's going to do anything special if Diggs isn't able to be a distraction to that defense.
I think the biggest thing about the Kansas City Rams game is the fact that it got moved.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys have seen the condition that field but there was probably 3-4 ACLs that were going to be torn.
Yeah, that condition
Wow.
of the field.
I haven't seen conditions of it. Where can I see it?
They've got it. I saw it on Twitter. Adam Schefter posted something, I think. But there was apparently prominent players from both teams that were threatening to sit out the game.
Oh gosh. Yeah, that looks bad.
So I think the high flying game that everybody wanted it to be is back on now that it's been moved to LA.
Mm-hmm. Crazy. Well, good. Yeah, I mean, you can't risk, your assets as far as the NFL goes to play.
I can't hear you, Ben.
Oh, geez. I did not mute myself. Yeah, anyways, let me try again here. Anyways, yeah, Phil and Jared are facing each other. Jared's got a 49% chance of making playoffs. The stack of Watson and Hopkins, I think, is too much to overcome because Hopkins is such an elite talent. 12 points for every touchdown. He could easily get 2 touchdowns. That's 24 points between the two of them just right there. Yes, I know Jared has Kamara and Hunt, 2 very, very studly running backs, but Phil has Gurley. I think Gurley alone could score as many points as both of them, but at the minimum, I think he's going to neutralize Kamara, and I think Hopkins can neutralize Hunt. But if Hopkins neutralizes Hunt, that means Watson's going to score a lot of points as well. So I think Phil moves to 7-4. Jared moves to 3-8.
Yeah, I don't like betting against Camaro because Super Camario can put up a lot of points in a heck of a hurry. But Gurley and Hopkins are in, that's a nice little stack.
Yeah. Well, especially with Cooper Kupp being out, I mean, that, like Jason said earlier, the receptions that would have gone to Cooper Kupp, one's going to go to one guy, 3 total receptions or 3 targets of the 8, let's say, that he would get are going to go to 3 guys. And then Gurley's going to get those other 5. And we've all seen last year. I mean, Gurley had I think 6 touchdowns off of receptions for 65 yards or more. So when you give him those touches and those opportunities, he's going to make something happen, especially with how good that line is. I just don't think that – I think that Gurley can even out Kamara and Hopkins can even out Hunt. So
I think
Phil
McVay and Andy Reid are going to be flexing their muscles, and this is going to what is the Vegas line set on this game? It must be just crazy high.
I thought I saw that it was like 60 something. It's like 65 or 63 or something like that.
I thought I heard 64, 65, which is the highest in ever, I think.
Yeah. And I might bet the over on that, especially
I think I would take the over.
Back in LA. Yeah. Lots
neither
of points.
Neither of these defenses are ready for what's coming.
Where's it at?
Pretty sure I heard 64 or 65.
The website I'm looking at is talking about like really old, like historied ones, like 2004 with an over under of 60. It's like I don't care about, that date.
64 as of right now.
Okay. Thank you, Jason.
Yep.
Just slam the over.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Kansas City's defense is so bad, but thankfully their offense is so good that they can make up for it. I
think Jared has a chance this week. I think Galladay is going to continue to come into his own, and they're going to keep using him out in Detroit. And I mean, I thought Ebron was done when Jack Doyle came back, but I think that he's still going to keep getting touchdowns. And all it takes is if Wentz has a big game against New Orleans, and if Hunt and Kamara go off, like Jared can put up 70 or 80 points between those 3 guys, and that's a real solid floor. And he just needs another couple guys to have. I mean, Tyler Lockett could have a big touchdown beating that Green Bay secondary. There's a lot of ways that I think Jared could pull out a win in this one. So I wouldn't count him out. I think he's got a chance. I think it could be a close matchup.
I'm certainly not putting money on either side. I think it's Jared's got some nice matchups. He's got 2 top 5 running backs. He's got a quarterback who was an MVP candidate last year. Hasn't looked like that this year, but the Saints defense has moments of brilliance against Andy Dalton level quarterbacks, but they also are not great. I mean, Eli Apple does not put the fear in very many people. PJ Williams makes quarterbacks light up like a Christmas tree. So they could certainly score in bunches. That could be another really high scoring game in that Superdome.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that's one that's going to come down to the wire, and that's one that Jared really needs. He's got to take that game, just take some of the pressure off, and keep himself in contention.
Yeah, and like the last thing I said in the power rankings is I could easily be wrong about this one. This matchup could go either way, but Phil's put up the points to earn my respect of giving him the little advantage. Next matchup, Jason and Elijah. Jason's sitting at 9-1, easily the favorite for winning regular season and the $25 prize money that goes with that. Facing against an Elijah 5-5. I'm pretty sure Elijah was 5-1 at some point this season. He had a team that was not sexy whatsoever, but he managed to get enough wins early on. And with how bad the bottom half of the league is, 5 wins could maybe get you into playoffs this year. But I think Jason
certainly 5 wins will at least get you in a tie where you're going to be in a points tiebreaker, but 5 wins will at least give you a shot.
Yep. Yeah. And if Jason scores 125 points this week, he's going to break 1,500 points by the end of by the end of this week. I think he does it. He moves to 10-1 in my books. Elijah falls to 5-6. And if Elijah keeps losing, Monty and Jared could both find their way in playoffs.
I think the biggest two questions out of this matchup is, one, is Jason going to start a kicker? I'm going to assume no.
Have to?
What was that, Ben?
I don't think he has to.
Well, I don't think he has to either. I'm just asking a question.
Okay.
And two, is Elijah upset at trading me Zach Ertz?
He should.
That's the biggest question.
What did you have to give up for him?
I gave up a 2020 second, Tyler Boyd, and one. I don't even remember the running back of the New York Jets. Crowell.
Crowell? Oh, Crowell? Good grief.
Yeah. No, that's gross.
Oh, that hurts.
Okay. I might break a cardinal rule here. I'm gonna pull up. I offered Elijah so much to get Ertz, and every time he's like, "I want all 5 of your first." I'm like, "No, you're not getting all 5 of my first." And I was like, "I'm still interested in Ertz," and he's like, "You're gonna have to give me like all of this," and it's like, "No, like let's get back to planet Earth here. I'm not gonna give you all of this to,
I want all of your firsts. You can have Zach Ertz.
Yeah, it's like no, he's the only person who's asked for all my first. Otherwise, everyone else I've been dinking, one first here, one first there, but not for Ertz. Even if Ertz won me a championship, oh, never mind. I'd give up all my first if Ertz guaranteed me a championship.
Dude is hashtag good at football.
I just what?
No, Zach Ertz is hashtag good at football.
Yes,
Although
he is.
I'm pretty sure, Jake, Ben just said he would give up his last 3 firsts for Zach Ertz. I think that's basically what Ben just said.
If it guarantees me a championship.
I don't know.
Well, he's good for 33 on any given week.
Seriously.
I would probably put a deal together of my last 3 firsts for Ertz if it means that I get a championship. However, if I don't get the championship, I want Monty's pick back.
I figured you were going to try to throw Chubb in there after our conversation.
Oh, I can draft a Chubb with Monty's pick. So
sure.
There's no Nick Chubb in this year's draft, Ben.
No.
What's the dude's name? Something Love? Bryce Love?
You
can have him. You can have him.
Dude Love?
He's more Ronald Jones than Nick Chubb.
Dude, Ronald Jones is the man. You guys are underestimating him.
True. No. True. Yeah. You keep thinking that.
Jason, hey, why don't you take your hat off and show everybody your shaved head?
Oh yeah, fine. Yeah. I have so little hair.
Yeah, Jason and I have shaved heads because one of our friends had Hodgkin's lymphoma, and to show support for that, we decided to shave our heads along with her. So, Amy, that's for you. Love you. Praying for you. Hope everything's going well. You've got us if you need anything. So, just want to throw that out there for her.
Yep.
I think you should have bicked it, Ben.
If I didn't have the ugly red psoriasis on my head, I probably would have, but
you'd have bicked it. Nice.
Yeah, but you can see, that little shnikes. You can see the little line right here. It's gross, but I think Jason should bick his head. He's got the beard to go along with it, and I don't have the facial hair like he does.
Sure.
Support the sexy bald head. So
yeah, my head's just cold all the time now, so I'm just waiting for it to grow back. I need some hair. I have to wear hats at work. It's freezing.
Yeah, Max. I'm reading the chat going on YouTube right now. Max said, "Yeah, Zach Ertz killed me," which he he put up a lot of points last week. So we'll see. But I was listening to one podcast today, and he was talking about buys and sells. He does a weekly transactions on Tuesdays. And one of the guys that he's talking about doing transaction as far as, buying and selling was Eric Ebron. As you heard earlier, he had 3 receptions for 69 yards and 2 touchdowns. And
a rush for a touchdown.
Yeah, and a rush for a touchdown, So it's like, obviously he's going to be on touchdown regression somewhere. And he labeled him as a sell, but I think that even with Doyle being back, Ebron is kind of that main target apparently in the red zone that you can't get rid of somebody like Ebron at this point.
The number that scares me is 38, and that's the percent of snaps that he played.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's if you look at the Zach Ertz, Travis Kelce's, George Kittle, if you're looking at those, they're in the 70, 80, 90% range in some games. And Ebron was up there in the 60s, 70s before Doyle came back. He just hasn't been on the field as much, and obviously his production hasn't suffered yet. But I don't know that you can bank on 3 touchdowns if you're targeted 5 times and only playing on 38% snaps.
Yep. I'd agree.
Yep.
So, what else do you guys have to talk about at all? That I've exhausted everything that I've prepared myself. So I'll open up the floor to you guys for the last 10 minutes.
Well,
Jason had a thought.
Jason had a thought. I was going to let him go with it, but
go ahead.
No, I don't. I think that we essentially covered all of it. I think, like I said a little earlier, I think there's a lot of matchups that are on paper already in the books. Obviously, that's why you have to play them. Mm-hmm. But I think there's 2 or 3 key matchups that have some playoff implications that are going to be worth watching. Jason likely has everything locked up and on to the playoffs with his really sweet 1-point home field advantage.
Hey, you make fun of it, Jake.
Like we did when we were in 9th grade. That was pretty cool.
Is that when we got rid of it? Was 10th grade then?
Oh, I don't know. We were still in high school when we got rid of that.
Oh.
Because it mattered once and everybody freaked out. It's the stupidest thing ever. So
yeah, you should have been around last season then.
You know what? I should have just run that other league like a dictator and stop asking for votes is what I should do. But anyway, I think
welcome to league name TBD because that's
welcome
how I've had
Ben
it.
rules with an iron fist.
That is true.
No, I think that there's some good things gonna be shaken out this week. I think we're gonna have a little clearer playoff picture. Hopefully, a few things shake out so that those last 2 weeks are as exciting as the last couple have been. With that in mind, but no, I think it's gonna be a fun week.
Yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see if any of those people kind of at the bottom of that kind of 8, 9, 10 range where we've got Alex and Monty and Jared and even Adam to an extent, if any of those people start to get desperate and try and make a big move to go acquire someone, it kind of seems like there's not a ton of those top names that are available right now to go buy. But I mean, Monty's got 5 2020 first round picks that if he wanted, he could probably go and get someone and see if there's, I don't know if there's anyone that he wants to go try and get for a playoff push, or see if there's anything that Jared would do to try and move, maybe packaging some picks in one of his young receivers to try and do something. I think it'd be interesting to see if anyone decides to sell out for anything and go for broke this year, or if people are kind of content to let the chips fall where they may and just see what happens. And if they make playoffs, great. But if not, then then they'll be okay going for next year.
Yep. Yeah, I agree. It'll be interesting. We've got what is this? This is week 11. After this, you got 2 more weeks. Again for the league. I know I've said this before to multiple people and some individuals. Trading locks up week 13 as players lock up. Once a player locks up on week 13, they are ineligible to be traded until week 17. And then waivers, same situation. Waivers will lock up as players lock up week 13 as well. And then the free agency bucks will be reset for trading week 17. Free agency is going to open up second Wednesday in May. So that's that. And then the rookie draft is the Sunday of the 3rd week of preseason. So get your trades in. Again, Jason and I, we can push trades through as long as it's player for player trades. If you're doing a player for a pick trade and you don't want to send someone back, we may not be able to process it right away. So send that droppable dude back so we can push it through via phone. And then, we'll try to process anything as long as it's accepted before games start via ESPN for game time. So make some moves. Let's see what happens in the bottom 6 of the league. We got a lot of open spots left in playoffs. So
yeah, fun to see what happens.
Absolutely. Well, guys, that's all I've got. I've got a baby upstairs that needs probably to be burped. Megan's been taking care of him for the last hour, so I should get upstairs. Jake, I saw your cat running around. You should probably take care of that. And Jason, I'm sure you've got some Fortnite to play. So enjoy not having any children yet.
I will definitely enjoy not having any kids and being able to get a full night's sleep. I'm looking forward to that.
Enjoy it for the rest of us as well. We sleep vicariously through you.
There we go.
There you go. All right, you guys take care. We'll see you via Slack, and we'll see you next week at 8 o'clock Tuesday.
See you.
All right, see you guys.